Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is episode number 100. That's right. 100 episodes of Bitcoin Made Simple. Hard to believe. Um, yeah, that's pretty crazy. So this is episode 100, and I appreciate the millions of you that listen. Just kidding. Not millions yet. Maybe someday. Um, but no, I do appreciate all of you for listening because my goal initially was to do it for 1 year. That was what I told myself. Got to do it for 1 year and see, if you're going to try it, see if you got to give it a good run and see if it's worth it. You know, as far as, I mean, not like financially, just is it worth it? Is it something you like doing? Because I think a lot of people start podcasts and, you just get frustrated real quick and you give up. So I made the commitment to do it for a year, and here we are. A little over 2 years later, and I'm 100 episodes in. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, anyways, shout out to the BitBox02 hardware wallet for bringing this episode to you. Go to shiftcrypto.ch/Bitcoin made simple. Use the promo code Bitcoin made simple to get 5% off. Also, thank you to Upstream Data and their wonderful black box. Go to upstreamdata.ca. And then also Movies Plus. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit about the goings on at Movies Plus. But yeah, it was just crazy to take a moment and sit there and realize this is my 100th episode. Yeah, I don't know. I think most, probably half of a little more than half of them have been interviews. So you're looking at like over, like probably close to 60 interviews. I've only doubled up interviews on a couple people. I know Swan was on twice. Daniel Prince was on 3 times. Bob Burnett was on twice. Shinobi was on twice. But other than that, um, well, actually, Gigi technically was on twice because I had Gigi on one, and then I had him on with Guy Swan. Um, but other than that, it was, a litany of, a wide variety of people, um, hearing their stories. I actually just lined up another interview for 2 weeks from now, or 2 or 3 weeks from now. So I will be doing an interview with Timothy Allen, if any of you follow him on the Twitter. He is a Bitcoiner, travels the world with his family, all that good stuff. So the funny thing is, he actually, I get this DM like 3 or 4 days ago. All of a sudden, it says, and like how on DMs, whenever you go in, you can only see the most recent one that says "not bad for 2 years later," and I go in, and it's from him, and like 2 years ago, I think Princey told me to reach out to him, and so I had DM'd him saying, "Hey, you should come on the show," and yeah, he didn't see the message until 3 or 4 days ago, and he said, "Yeah, absolutely," and he was like, "Not bad for 2 years later." Um, so, anyways, yeah, we'll be doing that interview, but yeah, it's been fun. I just watched an episode of The Middle. If you don't know that show, Middle with Patricia Heaton, uh, ended a handful of years ago. But their son Brick, he did a podcast, a font cast about fonts, a podcast about fonts. Um, in the last episode, me and my wife were watching, and it was cracking me up because he did it for like a week and then he quit. But yeah, I stuck it out, and I'm glad I'm doing it because now I don't know. Maybe this is like it's almost like a therapy session for me, where I'm just like, oh, I gotta go talk to my magic internet friends and talk about what's going on in my life or my head or all of the above. Um, so first of all, last week, whenever I talked about having to sell some Bitcoin, which is like the biggest pain and sucks, Balzinis. Um, that yeah, that sucked. But I did have a couple people reach out and say, "Hey, I actually had to do the same thing. You got to do what you got to do." Um, and so I think that's cool. And people said they appreciated hearing, you know, like someone else come out and publicly say that they had to do it. Because like I said last week, we have this meme where I'm never selling no matter what. And I don't know who the person was that said this, but like I remember Natalie Brunell had posted like a tweet the one time and said, like, I never sold a sat. And somebody replied and said, if you've never sold a sat, if you've never sold Bitcoin, then you're short Bitcoin. And I was like, man, that is so true. Um, so like I always tell everybody, don't over leverage yourself. Don't, if it's money that you don't need for more than 4 years, then you can put it into Bitcoin. Um, but don't get yourself into any kind of crazy situation. Especially with the current economy, the way it is. I just saw that the credit card debt is over a trillion or about to go over $1 trillion in the United States. Holy hell. Um, that's a nightmare. And that is not gonna go well. That's not gonna go well. Um, I was talking with my one business partner yesterday. And we were talking about he was talking about he's older than me, so he's lived through some of the other economic downturns in the business world. And he's like, but this one's weird, man. He's like, it's like this is like the one to end all cycles. Like, not talking Bitcoin, but like this is the crash to bring the whole system down. Like, yeah, it's starting to look that way. Um, I know Balaji is still saying that he believes he just put out a tweet that said, "I'm not backtracking, just saying that there was a 10% chance that Bitcoin would be $1 million uh, in 90 days." So I had to reply, quote tweet that with a GIF of goalposts getting moved. Because yeah, that's not happening. If it is going from what are we at, like 29,000 right now, to $1 million, that even now it would be like 60 days. Yikes! That world would be an interesting one. Um, but yeah, I got to do some fun stuff looking at gas wells this past week. Um, and in like a couple weeks in Pittsburgh here, I'll be going to a it's called a crypto mining summit, energy summit. But it's just really about Bitcoin, obviously. Uh, the guy running it, I think, is relatively new to Bitcoin, so doesn't and he's trying to appeal to like the oil and gas people who don't quite know that there is no, Bitcoin only and like differentiate, but whatever. They'll figure it out. So I hope to meet with a lot of people that have oil and gas rights there to just keep going down this Bitcoin mining venture. I'm very excited about. Then also, I'm really excited about the fact that he was the one rights owner that I was meeting with showed me what like wells would look like if I put it on my property, um, and how much that would roughly cost and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I have natural gas. I have an abundance of it underneath where I live, and I can turn that into electricity and mine Bitcoin from it. So that would be pretty cool. And then the electricity can go right to my house. And, whether I have gas appliances, which I don't have at the moment, but if I have gas appliances, I could have natural gas feeding into my house for free. And I can have electricity feeding into my house from the generator. Um, so it'd be a beautiful thing. Because then I was thinking about it like today, whenever I had to get my, the ceremonial um, kick in the crotch from the world that is by filling up my tank of gas. I was like, Jesus, that is a lot of money. for gas. It's still like this is just bad. And the downside, I don't, I wouldn't get a Tesla to or any electric vehicle because I think they're garbage. Um, they don't like if it really did get like clean up the air or whatever, then sure I'd do it. But like your electricity is getting produced somewhere out that it creates carbon, and that's how the electrons get transmitted to your vehicle. So, um, but also to charge it, it wouldn't. I don't think it'd be much of a cost benefit to be charging your car all the time instead of paying for gas. But then I was thinking about like, well, if I have free energy from my own property, then maybe I will get an electric vehicle just for local driving so that, 90% of the driving you do, that's all within a half hour range of your house. Uh, do that with the electric vehicle that charges off of the energy that we get from the ground underneath us. And um, so, yeah, I also, I don't know, be curious to see what other kind of gases and minerals and all that kind of stuff get discovered. If I can do that on my property, it would be a fun process to go through. Anyways, speaking of driving around within a half hour radius, I just did a nightmare. I think my wife has tricked me into thinking that running errands doesn't exist, but like it hit me today. I was going into like my fifth store in one trip, and I was like, I'm running errands right now. How did I get sucked into running errands? I hate running errands. And it gets dressed up in a different way. And I think she does it to trick me. So I'm like, oh yeah, because what happens here's where it starts off. It's like, hey, there's a grocery order. Can you pick it up? And I'm like, oh yeah. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I gotta go out and I gotta go to this one thing anyway, so I'll go there. And while I'm there, I might as well go to the thing that's right next to it. So I'll go there. And then like so I doing that, and it's like, well, while you're out, can you stop by the school and pick up, the homework or makeup work, because one kid's been sick from school for a couple of days. Uh, can you get the makeup work? Like, okay, I'll do that. And then it's like, and then you're driving and you're like by the feed store and like, oh, the chicken feed. We need more chicken feed, so I get that. And then I'm like I'm like, oh my God, this is miserable, miserable. And so then I'm sitting there in the store and like, I think around the 2 hour mark of running errands, I've realized I turn into like Bill Burr with just like the desire to like MF everything around me. And I think I caught myself today, like talking to myself. Um, because I was one of the things our one kid being well, both kids are sick, and the younger one has some stuff, stuffed animals of his own and everything, but the older one has a stuffed animal that he specifically likes to hold when he doesn't feel good. And the younger one doesn't have that, so I was like, oh, I'll just pick him up one, something for $5 that'll make him feel better, and something to snuggle with while he's stuck on the couch not feeling good for a couple of days. Um, and then so I'm like trying to take pictures of them and send them to my wife to say like, hey, what do you think? Which one, get some advice. And it's like not sending the picture. It's slowly loading, and I'm just my blood is boiling. And I did catch I was in the aisle, and I was like, what's the point of these phones if they don't work? Like just starting to lose my mind. And then I was like, well, if somebody's nearby, they're going to think I am insane, which for Walmart is not insane. And I also hate Walmart. I hate the store. Like I hate the lighting. I hate the color. I hate everything. It's like so depressing to me. It's just ugh. Um so anyways, I hate running errands. Um I hate spending money on things, and this is like pulling teeth for me. There's a couple projects that I want to do that are going to help the business, help my business in general. But in order to do them, I have to spend a little bit of cash on electronics, and it always drove me nuts to begin with. But like now, being a Bitcoiner, it's just so much harder. Like, why the hell am I going to put this money into this worthless technology that's going to fall apart and depreciate immediately and all that jazz? But it is what it is. Um, so, oh, you guys should get a Bitbox 02 hardware wallet, by the way. It's simple, easy to use. Um, whether you're stacking or if you have to move some off and take care of yourself, it's simple and easy to use. Um, is it any or if any of you are going to the conference, HMU, hit me up. Um, I will be there. Like, I don't have a lot of free time, but I will be there. Um, so could see you at the conference. Say hey. Um, I feel like there's significantly less buzz about the conference this year because here we are in the bear market and people are getting pissy, to say the least. Um, it just seems like a lot of people have been given wedgies and are bitching and moaning about everything. Um, so it's just fun. And I do, I mean, it is funny though, like, and I don't try to be antagonistic in the sense that I'm being a jerk. That's not what I try to do, but my my buddy Luke, you guys all know Luke, he posted like a little over a week ago, he posted something like, "Is this your last video? Like, is this your last chance to buy Bitcoin? Was that your last chance to buy Bitcoin below 30K?" And Bitcoin was at like 30,500, and like within an hour, it went under 30K. I was like, dude, come on. Um, so I mean, I know he's got math to back it up, but I'm not saying this directed at Luke. I'm just saying in general, there's a lot of hopium out there, and I think what I've noticed in the bear market is people are just tired of the hopium. People are just like real, like come on, because yeah, it is an asymmetric bet, and it's the right one, obviously, but it's just gonna take a little bit. Um, it's gonna take a minute, a lot longer than you would think. So that's my thought on it. And I was one of those morons right off the bat that was like, "This is gonna happen immediately. This is the moment," telling everyone and their mother, "Buy all the Bitcoin you can. Like, if you could get all the equity in your house out in cash right now, you put it in Bitcoin. I'm telling you right now, put it in Bitcoin, you'll be a millionaire." Like that, I was one of those morons. Um, thankfully that was years ago at this point, and I have come to my senses. Uh, but man, oh man, we were doing some stupid stuff. I was even like seriously considering using those like BlockFi and the different lending platforms. I was considering that, getting a loan, and I'm like, no, like that is like, I'm so glad. And there were people, I mean, American Hodl, who's been around for a minute. Uh, he was, I think he made a bet with the guy who owned BlockFi and said, "I bet you it won't be around." And he said, "I'll bet you a Bitcoin or something that it will be around, for at least 10 years." When well, we see how that went. Uh, but yeah, it's just I don't know. There's I just get the feeling there's groups in Bitcoin. There's the people that need it to pump in order to pump their bags and are hoping that all that they've done what they needed to do. They bought their Bitcoin and they can sit back and relax now. Like Hodl Magoo looking for his glasses in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on a yacht. Um, but you know, it's not. Uh, you got to just keep stacking, keep your head down, keep crushing it in the fiat game. Find ways to increase your cash flows, and like I say, put money away that you can afford to hold on to for a minute. Um, and yeah, so that's my profitizing for the moment. It's also like you have to keep your eye on the goal in this current climate. And now you'll get people might roll their eyes at this, but I'll give you a biblical reference because I think it's a good story. Um, when Jesus walks on the water out to the boat with the apostles in the middle of a storm, and Jesus calls to Simon Peter, and Simon Peter says, "If you command the waters to hold me, I will walk out to you." And he goes out and he walks on the water. And and the whole time, Jesus is saying, "Stay focused on me, come to me, and I'll give you rest," all that kind of stuff. And about halfway there, this is where the message comes in of what I'm getting at. He starts to Simon Peter starts to look at the waves, start to look around and see how hard it's raining. Notice the wind and the craziness of what is happening around him. And he starts to sink. And so obviously if you're religious, you understand the message there. But that could be applied to business, and like dealing with these uncertain times and economic turmoil. Um, where you have this vision, and if you feel that you're being called towards something, or if like say doing something is the right business decision for you, there's going to be some choppy waters, but stay focused on the thing that you determined was right. It's okay to keep checking yourself. Sorry for the hiccup. um it's okay to keep checking yourself and keeping yourself in balance to make sure you don't get a little too out of whack. um but yeah, I you gotta keep an eye on you gotta keep your focus. Don't focus on the waves. And that is a little advice for what's going on Twitter, because I mean, we can all get sucked down that rabbit hole and get like overwhelmed by like, oh my God, this is the worst the world has ever been in the history of the world, and which it hasn't been. Um, so yeah, my that's my advice for the day. Um, AI integrations I think are interesting. I'm going to start digging into that more. I might talk about it a little bit. I don't think it's. I mean, there's a lot of like bros out there that are like, AI will change your life, man. Like, watch how I'm earning six figures a week by just using Chat GPT. Like, it's all bullshit. Um, but it does help you. And I'll tell you my little story that helped me is that I deal a lot with spreadsheets, um, because the unsexy and unfun part of my business life is producing reports, whether it's viewership reports or revenue reports, all those reports, gathering royalties and disseminating them. And it's just a nightmare. And there was always this one thing that I was like, if I could get the spreadsheet to do this specifically, man, that would be a big help. But I never could. No matter, I mean, I spent hours and hours and hours Googling. But I'm talking about for years. Spent a lot of time Googling and trying to figure out how to fix this specific problem, and how to do these queries that would pull the data automatically in the way I want. And I don't want you to think I'm like an idiot because I am a smooth brain, but like I mean that's my joke, but when it comes to like I'm not a complete novice when it comes to spreadsheets. I'm pretty good with it. Like I have a lot of spreadsheets where they're referencing data points and automatically pulling data from one sheet to another, and it's populating websites and all that kind of stuff. Um, and I don't know how to code, so I just like do it. I do it the rough way and figure it out. But this one specific thing, I couldn't figure out how to do it. And then all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, wait. I was like, go to Chat GPT and type in exactly, prompt it with exactly what my problem is. Said like, if you have a value in column, let's just say the way you prompt it is important. But I was like, if you have, write me let's come up with an example. This isn't what I did, but off the top of my head, it's like if I have a uh, write a spreadsheet formula that if the value in cell A1 on sheet one equals any cell or any is approximately, you could actually make it approximate to, is approximately matches any of the values in column B of sheet two, return the value of column C sheet two. You could do something like that. That one's really not that complicated of a formula. But anyways, typing that in instead of trying to figure it out and do all the mess, typing that in to Chat GPT and it was just like and like shot it out and copy and pasted it and boom, it worked. I was like, whoa, um, that's pretty crazy. The other crazy thing was I I had a web page that I was working on and I typed exactly what I wanted the web page to look like and said, do it like, I work with like what they call WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get type web editors. I'm not a coder. Um, and I was like, you know, I typed out, this is what I want the web page to look like, blah, 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 and put it in this specific type of code, like Python or whatever. So typed it in, that's my noise. My noise is going to be the Chat GPT farts whenever it makes answers and solutions. Um, and so it's just and shoots it out. And like I was like, all right. I mean, I know I'm just looking at it like, all right, I don't know what any of this code really is. So I just copy and pasted it and put it in and voila. It was exactly the website I wanted it to be. And I was like, whoa, like holy balls. So I think there's a lot more there. I don't know. I got to keep digging, but I got to do less errands in order to dig more. And then final thing, NFL draft this weekend. First round already happened. I'm waiting patiently. I want to see an NFL player get drafted and get up to the microphone and say, "I'm taking my payments in Bitcoin." But it's peak bear market. That's not going to happen for a while. So, anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. Just go to go to upstreamdata.ca. They don't get the final shout out, but I'll give them an extra one because I appreciate their black box. But also go to shiftcrypto.ch/Bitcoin made simple. Use the promo code Bitcoin made simple to get 5% off. Get a BitBox02 hardware wallet and protect your funds. I promise you, it is the best decision you will make. And I will talk to you guys later.